Warning, this video pretty obviously contains spoilers. Who remembers this memorable scene when Deadpool accidentally leaves his duffel bag full of guns in Dopinder's taxi on his way to the final battle?
Hey, where's your duffel bag?
Now, imagine that this was never supposed to happen in the first place. In fact, the original plan for the film's climax was to have a massive, action-packed gunfight. However, this was not the case, as you know, and the reason for this is it was too expensive to make. Much to the surprise of the filmmakers, the studio cut $7 million off the budget, which meant the filmmakers had to make some big adjustments in order to get around this. So they decided to make Deadpool forget his guns, which meant instead of going in guns blazing for the final battle, Deadpool had to fight using his katanas, which was an epic compromise to be fair. Although the budget was slashed, excuse the pun, this all worked out in the end, and a hilarious and unforgettable scene was created.
God damn it! I'm gonna do this the old-fashioned way, with 2 swords and maximum effort.
The second installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, The Temple of Doom, saw Indiana Jones arrive in North India, where he is asked by a desperate village to find a sacred mystical stone, as well as rescue their children from a secret cult practicing child slavery, and the occasional ritual human sacrifice, in the honour of the Hindu goddess Kali. George Lucas, who wrote the story for the film, originally wanted the Temple of Doom to take place in a haunted castle in Scotland. However, director Steven Spielberg felt that would have been too similar to The Poltergeist, a film that he wrote and produced. In the end, what was originally meant to be a haunted castle slowly changed into the classic booby-trapped Temple of Doom that we are all familiar with today. For those who have yet to see Logan, spoilers incoming. The ending was very emotional, and we all said goodbye to one of the most beloved characters in the Marvel Universe. You shed a tear. Don't lie. It's so sad. While some felt the ending was a perfect way to cement the legacy of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, Jackman himself wasn't so convinced. In an interview, Jackman explained that he thought it would be better if Logan had lived. He said, "It was always floated that Logan would possibly die. I said, let's be open, because it may be more powerful for him not to die." Eventually, Jackman realised that the director, James Mangold's vision of the film's ending left a stronger impact, and that it did. It was the final farewell to the legendary Wolverine. It's so sad.
Your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
The first film of the James Bond franchise, Dr. No, is a classic, with 007 being sent to Jamaica to investigate the disappearance of a fellow British agent. Along the way, Bond encounters Dr. No, the main villain of the film, who plots to disrupt an early American space launch with a radio beam weapon. Dr. No was the first villain in the James Bond movies, and in the original draft of the film's script, writers planned to make Dr. No a monkey. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly, a monkey. The idea was eventually scrapped, and the script was rewritten, as the producers felt that even a monkey with a high IQ couldn't possibly be 007's merciless antagonist. Aww. Making Bond's first fiendish adversary a monkey was perhaps not the greatest of ideas, but it would have been quite funny to see nonetheless.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
The Rocky films follow the story of Rocky Balboa, an uneducated, working-class Italian-American boxer who tries to live the American dream and make it big in the sport of boxing. It's inspirational, motivational, and a classic to watch. In Rocky V, Rocky is forced to retire from boxing due to brain damage he suffered fighting against Russian boxer Ivan Drago. Rocky then moves back home and one day meets a hungry young fighter by the name of Tommy Gunn. Rocky takes Gunn under his wing and agrees to train and manage him. However, Gunn betrays Rocky, and this culminates in a street fight, which sees Rocky knock out his former protege after taking a heavy beating. According to the director, the film was not originally supposed to end this way. In fact, Rocky was meant to be killed during his final fight with Tommy Gunn, which wouldn't have been a great way to end the film. However, just before the film was near completion, the studio decided against it. Rocky Balboa may not have died. However, the same can't be said for the actual film itself, as it received poor box office results. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like and sharing this video, as it really does help us a lot. Don't forget to comment below too, and we will pin up the best comment. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video from us. Lastly, for daily facts and more, follow all of our social media accounts, which are on screen and in the description. Thanks, and until the next video.